T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Three, two, one.
Hello, how you all doing out there? So on tonight's show, what have we got? Well, we got some Simon from a pre-recorded Simon because he was out gallivanting today. So we got some weekend weather, but spoiler alert, it's pants. Then we've got some news. There's a bunch of news coming. There's a couple of things from Garmin. There's some stuff from the CAA. There's some stuff from Nats. There's some stuff from Gasco. What else have we got? That's probably that for that. Then we got a bit about houses. Not just normal houses, but houses with runways. So we've got some of those. A bit of a guess the price, get the price right, as it were. Then we got our fantasy hangar where we're looking at British aircraft and a few other bits and pieces like which show are you not going to this weekend? Thanks to COVID. So anyway, without further ado, I'm afraid I need to apologise a little bit here because Simon's technology didn't quite mesh with our technology. So here you go with Simon's weather report for the weekend.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hi, guys. Sorry I can't be with you this evening. Got my head down studying for my final 2 exams for my PPL, so my apologies for that. But I'm out here at Wolverhampton Airport this afternoon, and what a glorious afternoon it is. Isn't it typical that you've got to be studying on afternoons like this, and I want to be flying? Mind you, such is the life, I suppose. As far as this weekend goes, I'm afraid it's not going to be great weather. We've got low pressure in control both through Saturday and Sunday. The Saturday chart showing that area of low pressure, showing the rain heavy at times across many areas of the country, and it will be windy too. Honestly, I think we're not going to be seeing flying going on, particularly on Saturday, but still come down to your flying club, make the most of it, get yourself a bacon butty and have a chat and perhaps sit down and do some study. Now for Sunday, still got low pressure in control, still got further outbreaks of rain, particularly across northern and western parts of the country. I think some of that rain leaching through the south as well, but just notice in between those areas of rain across the Midlands, parts of northern England, we've got a bit of a drier slot in there, but there will be heavy showers developing. So I think if you wanted to do some circuits within that zone, probably is okay on Sunday, but I have to say, I think we're pushing it to think that we can do any decent flying even on Sunday. So I think it's a weekend to gather as many brownie points as you possibly can. Or why not take one of my weather school courses? Go to weatherschool.co.uk. You'll see my pilot's guide to SCUTs there. That'll help you spot the weather windows up to 7 days in advance, forecasting things like cloud bases, cloud tops, freezing levels and winds at different layers. And also, if you've not been to weather school yet, then this is your chance to come along. I've got my next weather school, Aviation Weather Part 1, on the 7th and 14th of November, on the mornings of those Saturdays, the 7th and 14th of November, all entirely presented by me online. You'll be forecasting up to 5 days in advance before you know it and being able to spot those weather windows too. So whatever you do, have a great weekend. And I think just make the most of these skies.
Thank you. Let me remove Simon. Let me go back here. There you go.
So it's going to be wet this weekend then.
I think it's going to be a little bit wet. Yeah.
So 2 things from the comments. One, everyone needs to say happy birthday, Ian. Well done, well reminded, Jonathan Smith. So happy birthday, Ian. And Matt Lanham, congratulations on completing your PPL ground exams. And you've got your final dual lesson. Just done his final dual lesson today. So that's a good result.
I think there's someone in there who soloed as well.
Yeah, I saw that. All good. Went solo last week, says Stuart Truman. Back to work this week. Ooh.
It's all downhill from there, Stuart.
Yes.
So, over to, while I just remedy something that I'd forgotten to do, over to you, Dave. Talk us through the news.
Right, this week's news is, well, it's headed up by the CAA issuing a long, I was going to say rambling, it's not rambling, it's to the point, but it's a very long notice about license and medical validity and the extensions they've issued earlier in the year, the exemptions. It's on the Flyer website, so you can just go there and find the ones that apply to you. There is some, it's mostly that the exemptions are ending on either November 22nd, I think it was 22nd, wasn't it? And or some of them go on to the end of December. But most of them are ending. So there are one or two exceptions to that, but it's all on the website. You can find it all there. Also, news today. News is this week. Garmin has produced a newer, cheaper pilot's watch. If you've seen the previous pilot, they've been pretty expensive, up around over £1,000. This one is $499 apparently, but it still seems to have an awful lot of functions. It also has a lot of non-aviation stuff. But anyway, it's a new watch from Garmin, and I believe you've got one, haven't you, Ian?
I've got one here. I have one here, and can't work out which one left and right. So I'm working.
Yes, coming soon to a Top Gear test near you.
Yeah, and we may even make a little review video, and we can't do the unboxing, which apparently is really trendy these days, or at least it used to be. And it's $499 in the US, and I found it in the UK for a UK retailer north of the border. You'll have to guess who that might be. For 474 quid.
Okay. It's a lot, but like Dave said, a lot cheaper than previous Garmin watches. So
significantly cheaper, and I can tell you now, it's actually quite a lot smaller and lighter. The previous Garmin watches, the D2 titaniums and stuff, Charlies and all that kind of stuff, are really quite chunky.
They were a bit chunky and blingy, weren't they?
They were certainly hefty, is the word, I think.
Right. While we're at Garmin, still. Their chief test pilot, a chap called Tom Carr, has been honoured in the States for his work testing the Autoland. He was the guy who had to take his hands off and let the aeroplane land itself for the first time. I think that takes a bit of metal, doesn't it?
I think so. Yep.
Yeah.
I think having been in an aircraft what am I for? Been in a Cirrus jet when they demonstrated Autoland and it landed and everything. So, and we've done it also in the Piper M600. I think, doing it now is fine, but can you imagine the first landing? So we go, no, we need to tweak that a little bit. That undercarriage pumps on top of the wing there. We need to work on the flare, Hoskins.
That's it. Yeah. That must have been the first few of those must have been exceedingly nervous. So
yeah. Absolutely. My desk is just collapsing around me. Yeah.
Oh right.
So moving on.
Yep.
About this time of year, Gasco would normally be rolling out its safety evenings for the winter, but because of COVID, it can't. You simply can't have gatherings of people. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll out some virtual safety evenings and webinars and things like that. We haven't got very many details as yet. No dates and all the subject matter, but as soon as we know more, we'll bring that to you.
On that Gasco front, an update for people who may have been following a very, very long one of all threads on infringement on Fly forums tend to be very long. This one is no exception in terms. It is very long, but Gasco, when you get sent on a Gasco infringement awareness course by the CAA when you infringe, if that's the action that they choose to take, before you had to schlep to a hotel. Now clearly that's not appropriate. So the way they're doing it, they're all doing them remotely now. So it's one instructor to two people at the same time. That appears to have had some good feedback, and that will almost certainly, possibly even definitely, continue like that even in post-COVID times, if there ever are any post-COVID times. So it looks like they'll be online, and the safety courses will be online, plus they'll be doing some more specialized ones, maybe aimed at gliding or helicopters or airspace or anything else as well, because that just makes it slightly easier when it's online, frankly.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. Sorry to interrupt you there, Dave.
That's all right. It's all right. You notice in the comments that Dave White is saying is Ed in witness protection this week?
That's it. I'm on holiday. I'm sat in my darkened room to recover from the last issue of Flyer. So,
Yes,
and I'm a long way from broadband. So if I go pixelated, that might be what it is.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Those last few days of putting the magazine together are always a bit interesting.
That's it.
So, moving on, Sky Demon. The Sky Demon Avidyne have linked up, so you can now pair your Sky Demon. Oh yeah, you can now pair your Sky Demon on an iPad or whatever tablet you have to the Avidyne IFD thing. If you look in the top right-hand corner of that picture, that's an Avidyne IFD 5 something or other.
440.
So, sorry,
540.
540.
That's it.
And
And
550.
yep. So you can now have the two talking to each other. To be fair, Avidyne have already set this up with some other apps in other countries, but this is in the UK and for Europe. So it's quite a big deal, really, because Sky Demon's pretty much the favourite app, to be using for flight planning and navigation. Yep.
So
Now,
two questions about that before we move on.
Yep.
Right.
One a bonus question for everyone watching. Which aeroplane was that in?
Oh, Bonanza.
Nope.
Okay.
I think Paul Fraser Benison has said it down there.
It's a Beechcraft. Oh, it's a Baron.
It's a Baron. There you go.
Yeah.
And the second thing, it would be remiss of me to not take the opportunity to mention here, just in case anyone from Garmin is watching, don't know if you managed to join us tonight, Trevor, or not, to encourage Garmin as well to make the interface open so that Sky Demon can send flight plans to Garmin kit as well. Thank you very much.
Good. Yep.
Moving on. Sorry, Dave, interrupted you again.
Well, the last item in the news is something you know more about, actually, Ian. This is NATS apparently selling off some of its land. Not airspace, land.
We got a press release today saying, due to COVID, NATS has decided to sell off all of its unused land. So it seems that NATS kind of owns something like 70 acres of land up and down the country where they've had radars and various sites. And they also mentioned accommodation, which is presumably that was for the air traffic students or something who don't need it anymore. So they're gonna sell it off because they don't need it anymore because they got other stuff, other radars and other whatever. But a guy called Paul Hughes at NATS was very, very, very careful to say, we are not selling off the family silver. No. No. What he didn't say was that was done in 1998 when NATS was privatized, so they couldn't actually sell it again. So they're selling that off. And I suppose it makes sense. What they're going to do with 70 acres worth of fields up and down the country, apart from mow them and look after them and spend more money on them. So
I presume it's your chance to buy a VOR station, is it?
I don't know if there's any kit left on them now, or if it's just.
That's it. Well, I presume there's lots of little concrete buildings. So in about 2 or 3 years on Grand Designs, you'll see Kevin McLeod going, it's something called a VOR station, and these people are going to turn it into a house.
That's it. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You could always find your way home from the pub.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's about it for news, isn't it?
That's about it
I
for
think
news.
so.
we have a little section here that's coming up, which is about houses and houses. We all know about air parks and we all know about houses with airfields. So we thought we'd have a little go at.
You love that. You love that theme tune, don't you?
I do love that theme tune. You have to guess the prices of these various bits and pieces here. So the first one is an airstrip in Queensland, Cooktown in Queensland. It sits on 210 acres. It has a 1,600-meter runway, which is pretty damn impressive, even if it is grass. Nothing wrong with grass runways. How much do you reckon that is then? Now, I've converted all these prices into pounds sterling.
Okay, and it comes with a house, right?
It comes with a house, yeah. It's probably not like the absolute most luxurious of houses, but it's certainly more than that. I think it's a 3-bedroom house.
I don't know, £1 million.
£1 million, Dave?
Well, actually, I once knew a bloke who lived in a container in New Zealand.
It's Australia, but
So I know that New Zealand is can be very cheap. So I'd say closer to $500,000 actually.
Okay, and what have we got? Anyone in the comments making a guess?
We've got 600,000 Australian dollars, 1.5 million pounds, 850k, 1.5 million. You're going to have to put us out of our misery.
£480,000 for that
What?
one. 480,000.
Right.
Okay. I guess it is Australia.
Nice. Let's move on. Let's move on to something very, very luxurious. So this is just outside Phoenix. Well, probably about an hour and a half's drive from Phoenix. It sits on 155 acres. It has a 760-meter runway, hard runway, not grass, hard runway with lights. And I believe it belongs to someone quite well known.
A Red Bull racer, I believe.
Racer. Kirby Chambliss.
Yes. Yep. No photo of the hangar.
There probably is, but I failed to set it up.
Actually, not in your stash.
I'm not sure there was a photo of the hangar, but I did have a good look at it. It looks like a.
I don't know. That's how many acres did you say it was? 100 acres.
That is. Let me just 155 acres.
Wow. Okay.
155 acres plus. There's already permission, should you want to subdivide that and flog it off for a few other people to come and build their houses alongside you. So you could probably make a little bit of money as well, maybe.
Surely the idea is to have no neighbours.
It depends how much money you've got, doesn't it? I suppose.
I don't know. What we got? So Chris Cooper guesses 1.2 million. Mark Greenfield, who always has money to spend, he says 5 million. 3.2 million. Peter Satchwell says 2.5. Andy Kennedy might be onto something. He says an hour out of Phoenix. That's in the middle of the desert.
It is in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
he's very right. I looked at it, and if you need a bottle of milk,
it's a long trip.
It's about half an hour to get to your closest milk supplier. Okay,
so let me guess. It's 1.2 million.
I said 2.5.
Okay, it's 1.7 million.
Wow. Okay.
1.7 million. So that's quite a lot of space for 1.7. And finally, you may recognise this, Maypole Airfield near Canterbury in the UK.
Fantastic.
On 54 acres.
Yes.
Has a 700-meter grass strip and a house too.
Wow.
3-bedroom house. So what a Scotland Parker or whatever they're called, estate agents asking for this little gem.
I'm guessing it's acres in Kent, so that's going to be. Is it going to be the most expensive of the three?
Yeah, it is.
So
not by a huge amount, but it is.
We've got Dave White says UK, so £9 billion.
Not that cheap, Dave.
I don't know. It's got to be 1.6.
No, I think it's more than that. It's Kent, isn't it?
Kent. Okay. Andy Kennedy guesses 2.5 million.
Is there anybody in the audience who lives in Kent, or can I say who wants to live in Kent safely? No. Okay.
Well, Richard Andrews agrees with you. He said, "I don't like Kent."
I don't particularly like Kent, and that's going to save me £1.975 million that I don't have anyway.
Right.
So
there it is.
2 million in Kent, 1.7 million outside of Phoenix, and 480 grand in the middle of Australia. It's not in the middle of Australia, somewhere in Australia. Anyway,
I think I'll go for the Maypole's nice, but lots of acres in Arizona, very tempting.
Yeah,
but I remember going to Phoenix in the summer, and it's freaking hot. You couldn't really go outside. Can you imagine sitting under an extra 300 canopy in Phoenix in the summer? You'd just melt by the time you got to the runway, wouldn't you? Anyway,
excellent. Good. Must be time for Fantasy Hangar.
It is time for Fantasy Hangar. So this week, no, you know what we missed out? Oh man, I forgot it.
What?
We'll have to do that next week. There was that really slightly strange English project that's just been announced.
Oh, that can wait till next week. People can prepare themselves for that.
Prepare yourselves for this, people. Here's a British project that is, all that ticks all of the boxes. Hybrid, this, that, all sorts of other things, and only 10 hours. It's going to only take the average PPL 10 hours to be able to fly it. So you wait for
worth watching next week.
Yeah, tune in next week to find out just what you could.
I leave you two to handle things, and you forget stuff.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's been a very busy weekend.
We've been working hard. So, Fantasy Hangar. So to go along with that new British project, we decided that our fantasy hangar would be British aircraft. Da, da, da. So, who have we got first here? We got Dave going first. By the way, last week's Warbird thing. I think we just need to make the hangar a bit bigger because I couldn't really decide who was going to win apart from me. That is
okay. So it's everyone gets their own choice for that one, do they?
Well, I mean, if we got to fit a Lancaster in, then
yeah, there's space.
So, Dave,
Right.
your fantasy British aircraft is
the Jet Provost. It's,
no.
Yes. I actually had a go in one of these once a long time ago, and up at RAF Leeming, where they were using it. That shows you how long ago it was. That's when they were flying them as a training aircraft. And the guy I flew with, who was, I guess, was their chief instructor, he explained that they use the aircraft for bridging between piston aircraft and going to jets, and also for those people who have been grounded for a while for whatever reason, being behind a desk, they get to go up and renew their skills in the Jet Provost. And we had a fantastic flight around over North Yorkshire. We went out and strafed a trawler in Whitby Bay, came back and found some hikers going over the top of some moors, strafed those, and bombed a little green telephone box. This is all part of the exercise. So that's it, Jet Provost.
Jet Provost.
Yes.
Chris Cooper, I'm guessing, may have some experience of Jet Provost, but says constant thrust, variable noise. And Des Hart, who I know definitely has experience of JP, said, but not a Mark III.
I remember it's the Mark 1 that looks like it was someone said, we forgot the canopy, didn't we, Blogs? What do? Let's go and steal a greenhouse and put that on top of it.
Yes.
All the little paint. Very strange. So my turn next. Nothing quite as noisy, I suppose, as a Jet Provost. So I went with the Miles Whitney Straight, but it could probably be almost any airplane from the Miles stable. I think the Miles aircraft just have an absolutely fantastic look about them, and much as I don't really want a Miles airplane for my one and only aircraft, because I think that I do tend to use aircraft to do practical things with rather than just polish them all the time. I think a Miles aircraft is just beautiful, and this one, there was a great story about the Miles Whitney Straight a while ago in the magazine. So whenever that was, can't remember. Go back and read it.
That's probably 6-7 years ago now, maybe. But it is a beautiful aeroplane. Mark Hales did a flight test of it, and that is, I've got to say, that is a pretty good choice.
Well, that was designed by not designed by, but a racing driver. Whitney Straight, I think his name was probably, went to Miles and said, I need you to build an airplane for me that does this, 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 and this. And they came to can you imagine those days when you used to go to aircraft manufacturers? I'd like an aircraft that does short strips and 400 miles an hour, please. Okay, so we can build you one of those. And they just go off and build one.
Manufacturers of today could learn something. Imagine going to Cessna going, I'd like you to make this. Hello, are you still listening?
I need to make an airplane that's a little bit more interesting to fly.
That's it, yes. Ed Ludlow, who is a man of Kent, so joined just as we insulted Kent, has made a really good suggestion. He said a Mughal for a more sedate pace, but still rapid. Yeah, I'm guessing he's talking slower than a Jet Provost. So that is a good that's a good shout. However, I think
out that not everyone is anti-Kent. I'm quite pro-Kent.
You'll be able to show your face quite happily there.
Yes.
That's it. Keir Williams says DH88 Comet Racer. So I did figure that one might pop up. So, but and Sean McDonald says short Skyvan. Oh, to be fair, he does say converted to living accommodation and a stable. Well, each to their own. So,
hot on the news of Dave being appointed the flyer roving reporter for Kent and the South East.
That's it. However, I think both of you, they're good choices. However, in terms of a beautiful British aeroplane to go in a fantasy hangar, I think the de Havilland DH90 Dragonfly is just a beautiful, beautiful twin. It's take a few friends along with you and just lovely gorgeous looking. Much more kind of a little smaller than the Rapide, much rarer. And there used to be 2 flying in the UK. Now there's just 1, and there's this red one lives down at Biggin Hill. Just a magnificent aeroplane if you see it. And so I think that would be my fantasy British aeroplane in my hangar.
Don't you think it has Oxford bags for it's undercarriage? It just look.
I love the who doesn't love a trousered undercarriage? That's only it's going to be my epitaph or something. or the title of my autobiography.
Yeah. Who doesn't have a trouser?
Carol de Sola says, isn't the Dragonfly up for sale? I don't know, Carol. Is the Dragonfly up for sale? That would be really good news if it is.
Is the Dragonfly the same engine as the Rapide?
No, I think they're smaller. I think I'm not sure on my Marks of Gypsy engine. I think it'll be a smaller engine, probably the inline 4 rather than the inline 6.
Having had an Oster with a Gypsy engine in it once,
yes.
I'm amazed that you can actually find a time when you can get both of them started before you give up the will to live.
So clearly, I'm going to regret the trousered undercarriage comment. Dave White says has suggested the title for my future book: "Wind Up My Legs."
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Carol says, I believe Henry Labouchere was selling it. I think, Carol, that might be the DH Dragon, which is the one that came before the Dragonfly and the Dragon Rapide. I think that's been retired temporarily, and that is looking for a buyer. So
was that Oster you had, Ian? Was that the one that was it shared with Miles McCullum?
It was.
Formerly a flyer, yes.
Golf Alpha Golf X-Ray November J1N, and it had you had to hand start it.
I remember flying with Miles in that once, and we were coming back into land at Popham into a headwind, and I swear it must have taken 10 minutes to go the length of the airfield far enough to be able to touch down. It was so slow, and all it needed was a hint of wind, and it would fly.
It probably took Miles 10 minutes to make his final call. You have to know Miles to understand that.
Yes, great guy.
We love you, really, Miles.
Right. So clearly, I think the Dragonfly has proved popular. I can see a lot of people like a trousered undercarriage leg. But maybe we'll organise a vote on Facebook tomorrow.
I think that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So. And forward to our next regular feature, which is which events will we not be going to this weekend?
Well, there's plenty to choose from because that you won't be going to, because there's nothing much happening.
No.
Is there anything on?
Is there anything
on? Well, given COVID and the weather, is it just stay indoors this weekend?
Well, Private Flyer isn't happening.
Yep.
The Battle of Britain Air Show at Old Buckingham isn't happening. There possibly actually, I was going to say that the Vintage Saturday, that sort of gathering that happens every Saturday, the first Saturday of every month at Compton, that may have been going ahead, but I think the weather's going to wreck that.
Yeah.
And well, there's not really much else. There was supposed to be a
drive to a museum, isn't it?
Sorry.
It's a day to drive to a museum, if in fact they're open.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good. So, Ed, I know you've been on holiday for all week.
Yes.
Do you want to update anyone on the magazine that's just out? Is there anyone new?
The magazine, the magazine is just out. So if you haven't seen it yet, grab that for... what can I tell you? So lead feature in that is life at flight level 700. Yes, you heard that right. It's a feature that talks to a bunch of guys who fly from Fairford in the Lockheed U2 But also those same guys are big keen GA pilots. So it's a really great feature looking at GA guys who get to fly the U2 too. There's a piece looking at the new Diamond DA50 RG, which is an Ian Seeger production. So Ian's been talking to one of our friendly French magazines, and so they were the very first to fly the Diamond DA50 RG. So we've got some data there to compare and have a quick first look at that in comparison to the Cirrus and the G36 Bonanza. So they're kind of the top flight super singles at the moment. There's a great flying adventure. Paul Kittle, who I know is here because I've seen him comment in the comments. So that's Devon and Cornwall adventure, and that's a great way to get your sunshine this weekend because it's gloriously illustrated, fantastic photos. And if you need a little bit of inspiration for touring Devon and Cornwall, that's definitely worth a read. There's all the usual columns, and there's a Top Gear test of an action cam as well, which I have just started to use. That's a pretty good little thing. So see what you think. Plus, all the usual good stuff, and free landings if you're a Flyer Club member, £2.50 a month.
Yes, absolutely. So for those people who are Flyer Club members, the 2013 issues have all just been put online, so you can go and read all 2013 copies of Flyer free of charge if you're a Flyer Club member. If you're not a Flyer Club member, we'd really, really, really appreciate it if you became a Flyer Club member. It's £30 a year, £2.50 a month, payable quarterly. And basically, we produce the whole magazine. You get the website, you get the forums, you get this. Okay, this might not be worth very much. And you get all sorts of other stuff. Basically, you get us doing the absolute best we can to provide a whole month's worth of bonus GA content for £2.50 a month. And frankly, we all need everyone's support in these times. So if you're not a member, just favour and give it a go, see what you think. Cool. Other than that, I think there's not much else to say other than join us next week for the exclusive reveal of that British aeroplane that we didn't quite manage to reveal this week. Sorry.
Yes. I'll be back in the office. We'll be hotter on the news.
Ed's back from his holiday on Monday, and things will be back to normal. And we'll all be a bit more behaved by then.
You've done good, guys. Right.
Great. Okay. Thank you, everybody. It's been great seeing all these comments. Please come again, and thank you very much. So I'm going to go and have my birthday glass of wine now.
Excellent. Well deserved.
Well deserved.
Yep. Take care, everyone. Cheers.